Hi, this is James Stroke at Westpac with the London end of day report for Tuesday, the 23rd of October. Well, equity markets have taken a big tumble right across the Northern Hemisphere today, triggered initially at least by earnings reports out of the US. Just to name a few, DuPont, United Technologies, 3M, either missed analysts' expectations for their quarter result or had revenue results that missed expectations or gave negative guidance, or in the case of, I think it was DuPont, announced 1,500 job cuts to shore up their cost base. Earnings results in Europe weren't much better either. On top of that, we've had a range of economic data today that mostly missed expectations. Key amongst those, the Richmond Fed factory index for October, it fell from 4 to -7 in October. This negative result was not forecast by anyone. I mean, all the expectations were that the outcome would be above zero. Shipments and orders in that survey both fell very sharply from accelerating position in September to a contractionary position in the October numbers. In Canada, we had retail sales figures which were up 0.3%, but when you take out gasoline, they were down 0.1%. I mean, it was basically higher gas prices that lifted the figure, but there were negative results for a whole range of different store types. Despite that, and actually very low inflation in the latest figures, the Bank of Canada, they left interest rates on hold at their window today, but they tweaked their tightening bias to a slightly stronger one. Since April, in the June, July and September meetings, they've had the phrase, withdrawal of the present considerable monetary policy stimulus may become appropriate. Now they're saying that withdrawal will likely be required. Slightly firmer language there. There had been an expectation that if the language was tweaked, that it might, the tightening bias might be dropped altogether. So it was a real surprise that, in fact, it was made a little bit more forceful. We get the Bank of Canada's monetary policy report tomorrow. That'll probably explain that in more detail. In Spain, the Bank of Spain gave a preliminary estimate for third quarter GDP, a contraction of 0.4%, which matches the contraction in the second quarter, and it's the fifth consecutive quarter of decline. That would see the annual growth rate down 1.7%. We get the official statistician figures next week, and sometimes there's a bit of a difference between the Bank of Spain numbers and the statistician numbers, but certainly it looks like Spain's recession has continued. Also, Moody's downgraded 5 of the Spanish regions, some of them to junk status for the first time. Others are already junk; they're even more junk. Catalonia, for example, the biggest Spanish region in terms of contribution to the economy, was one of those downgraded. Of course, there's a Catalonia early election next month, where separatism is one of the key issues. We had figures on bank mortgages in the UK. They picked up a bit, but they still haven't recovered their sharp decline earlier in the year. That's probably about it. European consumer confidence edged up very slightly, but still remains very weak. And yeah, that's about it in terms of the data flow. Commodity prices down very sharply too today. Bit of a chicken and egg. I mean, equities are down. Concern about the global economy has heightened a bit, particularly since the EU leaders' summit on Friday didn't really address the Spanish bailout issue or the Greek next tranche payment issue. There's a sense that although the ECB's done its bit to put in place a circuit breaker for the crisis, the politics is still very much lagging. Actually, on the ECB, we've got the ECB chief Draghi. He's speaking at a closed session of German Parliament, or committee in Berlin anyway. of the Parliament, and basically we understand he's going to be going through the legality of the outright monetary transactions program. So there's expected to be a press conference after that, and it'll be interesting to see if he can convince the Germans, who of course don't like what they regard pretty much as state financing. It'll be interesting to see if he can convince them that it's legal under the terms of the various EU treaties. Seniority of the ECB creditor status is seen as one particular stumbling point there. Okay, so some numbers. Okay, on the equity markets at the close, the FTSE in London down 1.4%, the French market down 2.2%, the Germans off 2.1%, 1.5% loss in Spain, and the Italians are off 1.8%, and the Dow's down 1.8% at New York lunchtime. That's almost a 250 point loss. It's at 13,104. Equity markets, we're looking at oil down 3% today, $86.10 a barrel. Copper's down 1.7%, and gold also down more than 1%. It's at $1,708 an ounce. The Aussie dollar, it's at 1.024 against the US dollar. 8 o'clock this morning, London time, 9 hours ago, it was at 1.032. It was already slipping, so it's down a further 0.8 as risk aversion accelerated today. Tomorrow we've got, well, in addition to the ECB's Draghi speaking, closed session, but a press conference afterwards perhaps. We've got the FOMC meeting in the US, we've got the Aussie CPI numbers, and we've got the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's interest rate decision, the first one from Graham Wheeler, the new governor of the RBNZ. Okay, that's it for today. I'll be back again, same time tomorrow.